Hello students of class 8, how are you? Welcome to online classes from Alpam Papisun Gola Vayar Gorakhpur. I am a science teacher, DPS sir. Student, in my previous video, I have already explained you about the chapter 10 force and pressure, in which I have given you the lecture of force, and that was my revisional lecture because this topic, this chapter has already been explained, and as because just to revise this topic, I have re-explained this topic in my previous video, and today the remaining part of this chapter, that is the pressure, that I am going to explain you, student. So student, pressure, the force creates the pressure. If suppose that by certain examples I am going to explain you, if suppose that you take a pen, you take a pen I have taken the pen, I have opened the cap of this pen. This is the broader side which has got, which area is greater than the area of this tip. And if I am holding like this way and putting equal pressure, putting force from both the side equally, okay, both the fingers are pushing the pen towards its opposite side. But in which finger you will feel pain, in that finger where there is a sharp tip, or you can say where the area of that tip is very less than in compared to that the broader area. That means pressure depends upon area. Just for one more example, if suppose that you are standing and a boy or any other person stands on your feet, but in his both leg he has just worn in one leg a pointed heel shoe, and in other leg a flat sole shoe. So he have stand on your feet. So student, can you have got certain ideas that in which feet you will feel pain, or in which feet you will feel more pressure. Actually, when a person is standing on his both the leg exerts equal force, or you can say equal pressure. But in these conditions, when in his one leg he has worn such a shoe which has got pointed heel, and other leg he has worn, other foot he has worn such a shoe that has got flat sole. So should I want to say that feet in which he has worn pointed heel shoe, that shoe which has got pointed sole will give you great pain, because at a very little area the force is greater, but in flat sole shoe the same force is distributed in a large area. The same amount of force in its both leg, in one leg the same amount of force is distributed in a large area, but in pointed heel shoe same amount of force is exerted in a very less area. So the force that is exerted in very less area, there the pressure is more than compared to the force that has been distributed in large area. Okay student, next suppose that You are carrying your school bag and with broader, you can say that tape of that bag which you hold on your shoulder, okay, that belt is broader. Why it is so broader? Why the company has made the that we can say lash, or you can say the holding thing broader, so that the force that has been of the books that has been kept in the bag creates less pressure on the shoulder. Otherwise, if in place of broad ribbon, if there is a thin ribbon in that bag, then it would have created a great pressure, because that thin ribbon of that bag is coming in contact with a very less area, but the force, or you can say weight of the book, is same as in that of broad tape. But in thinner tape, it is as getting less area in contact. If there's less area in contact, that means it will create lot of pressure. Okay, students, that means I want to say that as much less area, that much more pressure. If a body is touching to another body at a very less area, means the surface of contact is less, there the pressure will be more. But if the surface of contact is a large area, the pressure what it will be felt, the pressure that will be felt will be less. So a formula to take out the pressure is force upon area. Means given force, if you will divide the given force by the area, you will get the pressure. That means P is equal to F by A. So student, now one more example I am going to give you. Take one sharp knife, sharp pointed sharp knife, and one blunt knife. So first of all, I want to say what is the meaning of blunt. When the edge or the sharp point, you can say dies, when the sharp edge of the knife, after cutting vegetables or whatever things for many times, the sharp thing has been lost from that knife, means that sharp edge now has become wider. And if the sharp edge of the knife becomes wider, it could not cut anything properly and finely. But if the knife is very sharp, it could easily cut any fruit and vegetables at lesser force. You have not to apply a greater force with such knife that is very sharp. By a help of little force, you can very easily cut the apple, bread and fruits or vegetables. But if the knife is not sharp, it is blunt, then in that condition, if you are applying a blunt knife, then you have to apply a greater force, and that greater force will apply pressure. You have to apply greater pressure to just cut that fruit, apple or vegetables or bread, because the sharp edge point is now blunt. So this is also example by which you can recognize that when the sharp edge of the knife, sharp means very lesser area. When you are going to cut with a sharp knife, when you are going to cut an apple with a sharp knife, or when you are going to cut a bread with a sharp knife, when the knife will touch the bread, as much less area as it will touch. And when it will be less area, when the knife will be very sharp, then at its edge point it will be very thin. And when it will be very thin, it will be very sharp. But if its edge point is not very thin, it's broad. That means it is not sharp, it is blunt. And when that edge area is broad, and when with the broad knife you are going to cut an apple, that means that knife is touching more area than a sharp knife. So in sharp knife, the edge is very thin, but in blunt knife, the edge is broad. So if you are cutting with a sharp knife and a broad knife, the sharp knife will cut very smoothly by applying less pressure. But in blunt knife, it will cut, but you have to apply more pressure to cut that fruit or vegetables whatsoever. That means lesser area, it will exert great pressure. If greater area in contact, it will create less pressure. So student, by the help of these certain examples, I have explained you how, under what condition the pressure is greater and under what condition the pressure is low. Now the next, pressure also depend on depth. Okay student, depth. Suppose that you take a bottle, fill it with water. You take a bottle, fill it with water. Make three holes in it. So pressure also depend on depth. There is very little pressure of water only up to here in the upper part. So because above the upper hole the water is very less. So in that, from that hole, the water that will fall down will not be under a great pressure. Will not be under a great pressure. It will fall near to it. In from the middle hole, above the middle hole, the amount of water is greater. Above the middle hole, the amount of water is greater than the upper hole. So it will create little more pressure than the upper one. So from here, the water will go little far, and in the lower hole, the level of water is more high than the middle and the upper one. So that means here is more pressure of water in the lower hole, so it will go more further. So like this way, you can see the pressure also depend on the height. As much lower, that much more pressure. As much the hole was above the water, which is only little from here to here. There was little amount of water above the upper hole, so little pressure. In the middle hole, there is this much amount of water above it, above the hole, so there is little more pressure than the upper. And the lower hole, there is more water above that, so it is more pressure. So pressure also depend on the height. Okay, student, on the depth. Now, one more example I want to explain you that take a pointed nail. Take two nails in which one nail is pointed and the other nail, the pointed part has been broken. Now just take a hammer and try to prick the nail in the wall and just hit on the upper part of the nail. The nail which is has got pointed end, that will very easily go inside the wall, but the nail which tip end has been broken, while hammering it will not go inside the wall because The tip point has been broken and now the area is more which is coming in contact on the wall, so it is creating less pressure and that's why it is not going inside. But the nail which has got tip sharp point, that nail is touching very less area, so while hammering it is very easily going inside the wall. That means it is creating greater pressure, as because very less area in coming in contact, so there will be greater pressure and the nail will smoothly go inside the wall. Okay student, I have already explained you about the pressure exerts in the fluid according to its depth. Air also exerts pressure student, air also exert pressure. Just for example, air exerts pressure. Take a tin, okay, take a tin box or take any bottle, okay student, tightly close it cap, leave it normally. You will see that there is no change in shape in the bottle. Why? Because the pressure of air all around from inside the bottle is same as that much from outside. So the bottle shape doesn't changes. But if I will by applying an exhaust pump, if I will take out all the inner air from inside the bottle, then there will be no any pressure from inside to make the wall of bottle safe. And now when there is no pressure from inside, the outside pressure will be heavier and it will squeeze the bottle. The bottle will become dissipate by due to outside pressure. The bottle will become dissipate. It will become squeezed because of the outside pressure, because the inner pressure becomes zero. There is no pressure as the air has been taken out and the outer pressure will be more. So in that condition the bottle will squeeze, it will be dissipate. That means by the help of this I have showed that air also exerts pressure. Student, in our daily life we apply the formula of pressure, that air exerts pressure. Just for example, if you are feeding a medicine, if you are giving a medicine to a small child by the help of the dropper, so without pressing the dropper, you can't take up the medicine in that dropper. Why? Without pressing the rubber part, if you dip that dropper inside the medicine will not enter in that pipe. Why so? Because there is already air present in that pipe, which is not letting the medicine to enter in that pipe. But as you press that rubber, the air from the pipe has been squeezed out, thrown out, and now the inner part is empty, totally vacuum. There is no any air pressure inside. And now dip the dropper inside the emulsion and slowly release the rubber pressure. So as you release, the liquid will come up because now there is no any air inside that rubber, okay, or inside that pipe, so the medicine will enter inside. Here is the formula also, air pressure. Next student, if you are going to drink a coke or any cold drink or milk or any juice by the help of a straw, a pipe, so in that condition, so while if you suck with your mouth, the cold drink or the juice or whatsoever will not go inside the pipe. Why? Because the air is present inside this pipe is not letting that juice to enter in the pipe. But as soon as by sucking, as soon as you will suck, the air from inside the pipe will be taken inside the mouth, and now there is no air inside it. So the air that is putting pressure on the juice from the upper part will put the pressure, and that juice will enter inside the pipe, and you can easily drink the juice. That means when there was air, then there was the liquid was not arising due to the air pressure, and as soon as you have taken the air out, the air pressure from above the juice put the pressure, and that liquid or that juice enters the pipe because now the pipe is empty because the air has already been sucked by our mouth. So this is also an example by which we can show that air exerts pressure. So student, I have completed this revisional of this chapter 10, force and pressure. Student, listen the video carefully and try to clear the concept. Hope so you will enjoy the video. Thank you. Have a nice day, student.